Okay, you know the exact feeling. It's 6 a.m., you're already staring at a glowing screen, powered by what? Your third cup of coffee, and you're doing absolutely everything the hustle culture gurus told you to do. You grind, you stay disciplined, you are literally forcing progress, sweating for every single inch of ground, and yet, somehow, you feel like you're just running on a treadmill, you know? You're expending this immense amount of energy, but you're going absolutely nowhere. It's heavy, it's exhausting, and look, if we're being completely honest with ourselves, it is deeply demoralizing to put in that much work and still feel so utterly stuck.
And then comes that internal monologue, that quiet, nagging voice in the back of your head that whispers, well, maybe I'm just not working hard enough. Maybe I'm just lazy. You scroll through your feed and you start comparing your behind-the-scenes struggles, the 2 a.m. spreadsheet dread, the pit in your stomach before a Monday morning meeting, to everyone else's carefully curated highlight reels. You see them launching businesses, hitting these massive milestones, living what looks like the absolute dream, and you just feel the crushing weight of that constant pressure. So what do? You double down. You try to force it even more. But what if the real reason you feel paralyzed, the reason you are just exhausted to your very bones, has absolutely nothing to do with a lack of work ethic?
What if the issue isn't laziness at all, but misalignment? Just let that idea land for a second. We are so heavily conditioned to believe that sheer exhaustion is just the price of admission for success. But what if the engine of your life is actually running perfectly fine, but the wheels are just pointed in completely opposite directions? When you're misaligned, you're essentially trying to drive with the parking brake fully engaged. You can match the gas pedal all you want, you can burn up the engine, but honestly, you're only going to create a bunch of smoke and friction.
Which brings us to the first part of this explainer: friction and misalignment, and the real cost of forcing progress.
We really need to unpack this super dangerous, yet totally accepted, false belief that progress inherently requires relentless, painful force. When you force progress in the wrong direction, your effort literally drains your energy. Think about spending 3 hours fighting your way through a single spreadsheet because your heart just isn't in it. Your spirit is actively fighting the very actions your body is taking. That is what friction feels like. But when you are aligned, effort actually creates energy. It's that day you work 12 hours straight, completely lost in a project, and you finish feeling totally invigorated rather than depleted. That's momentum. That is exactly what happens when the friction disappears and your effort starts generating its own renewable power. So I want you to ask yourself, are you chasing that promotion, that specific business model, or that shiny lifestyle because you genuinely matters to you? Or are you chasing a fake goal, something society or your peers or maybe your parents convinced you that you're supposed to want? Because let's face it, chasing goals that aren't even yours is the ultimate recipe for that draining friction we were just talking about. It is the silent killer of ambition.
Let's look at a better way to operate: flow instead of force, and how we actually go about removing that resistance.
Now make no mistake here, flow does not mean sitting on a beach doing nothing. You are still going to work hard. You'll still face challenges, you'll still put in the long hours, and you'll definitely sweat the details. The critical difference is that you are no longer fighting yourself. The wind is finally at your back instead of blowing dead in your face. Alignment is a state of flow, not force. Your past struggles? They weren't a lack of discipline. You actually had plenty of discipline. You were simply trying to force water through a pipe that was completely clogged with debris. Finding alignment is really just about clearing out that pipe.
And here's the kicker. Alignment isn't about adding more life hacks to a broken system. It's actually all about subtraction. Consider this. Studies show the average person makes over 35,000 decisions every single day. That is a massive amount of cognitive resistance. Real growth is often just a profound process of elimination. It's about removing distractions. It's about muting those extra voices and opinions that constantly cloud your judgment. And yeah, it means saying no to good opportunities so you actually have the bandwidth for the right ones. You absolutely must ruthlessly remove the things, the habits, and sometimes even the people that are stealing your peace.
So how do we track this? Let's talk about why your energy is data and how to measure your internal alignment.
Hustle culture is constantly screaming at you to measure your progress by your bank account, your follower account, or whatever your job title happens to be. But those external metrics, they are lagging indicators, and they honestly often lie about your true state of being. The ultimate truth is this: inner peace is information. Energy is data. If you wake up filled with absolute dread, hey, that is data. If a specific interaction leaves you completely depleted, that's data. If a project makes you lose track of time because you're just so incredibly dialed in, that is data too. Your inner peace isn't just some nice-to-have spiritual luxury. It is a highly accurate, real-time feedback mechanism telling you exactly whether your current setup is aligned or misaligned.
Which leads us to the architecture of your environment, because where you choose to grow matters immensely.
Think about it like this. You can have all the personal revelations in the world about your energy, but if you drop a perfectly healthy seed onto toxic concrete, it simply is not going to grow. The architecture of your environment dictates the ceiling of your alignment. Because here's the hard truth we all have to accept. Alignment is a practice. It's not a final destination. It requires constant, ongoing tuning. You will inevitably drift off course, you'll get distracted, and you'll probably temporarily chase the wrong goal again. That's just being human. But returning to alignment is exponentially easier when your daily practice happens inside an ecosystem of intentional thinkers.
And this is exactly why the source material we're breaking down in this explainer today actually originated within the School of Mentors. It's an ecosystem that was built precisely for this specific practice. We're talking about a community of over 6,100 ambitious entrepreneurs who deeply understand that environment is literally everything. They remove the friction of growth by giving you the right inputs, like weekly live mentorship directly with billionaires, live tactical workshops on things like marketing and AI, over 100 hours of masterclasses, and access to the 9-figure network. It's an environment that is engineered to accelerate your alignment by putting you in the room with people who have already paved the way. If you feel like you need this kind of environment to really anchor your alignment, I highly encourage you to check out the link below for more info.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to adopt a brand new filter for your daily life. Stop asking yourself if you are working hard enough and start asking, does this path energize me or does it constantly drain me? Trust your inner peace. Start using your energy as data. Stop forcing progress and start designing your flow. Remember, that link below is a great first step toward finding that new environment. The only real question left is, are you ready to stop fighting yourself?